In part one here of our pre-processing of the Elephant's Trunk Nebula, we're going to do a dynamic crop, canon banding reduction, dynamic background extraction, background neutralisation and colour calibration. Welcome back, folks. Right, this is what we are left with after doing all the integrations and the pre-processing. This is a rather red looking image of the Elephant's Trunk Nebula. You can just see it in here. And you can see that to start off with, what we need to do is a bit of cropping. So going to dynamic crop process, you can see the, because we did it on 2 nights, you can see the edges around here where it's not quite right. Because obviously I can't get the camera orientation correct over more than 1 night. So, but you always have to crop this because when the star matching takes place, always moves the images around slightly, so you crop out all those artifacts around the edge. So basically you click the reset button here, you can see it's put these grey lines around the box. All we do is grab hold of those grey lines and just drag in a little bit like this, just to remove the edging process you can see around. Don't want to go too crazy, but that should do it. Tick the tick box there. And then that's removed the artifacts around the edge and close dynamic crop. Next thing we want to do is remove the canon banding that is on it. There is banding on this image, I can see it through here. This is a typical thing that gets produced when using a Canon DSLR to make your images. And that's done using a script under Utilities, Canon banding reduction, and we just click OK on that. It's all fairly straightforward, all these processes, these first ones that we do anyway. So this will remove the banding that you can see and flatten out the redness, which we'll be removing in further processes. So that's removed that, that's sorted that out. And the next thing we do, of course, is remove that redness, and what we use for that, the process called dynamic background extraction, which basically will clean all this up. We just need to set it up correctly. So I'll set the target image correction. Well, first of all, we need to reset it to apply it to that image. Set the image correction to subtraction. What that will do is it will remove all the redness from the image. But we need to first isolate the areas of redness that need to be removed, and it's pretty much all over it. And we do this by going to sample generation. We'll put on a sample radius of, let's say 15, and we'll click generate. And what you can see here is put crosses all over the screen. But we need crosses, more crosses than this. Let's put it that way. We need really the whole image to be filled with these little markers. So you need to change some numbers here. And I'm going to just raise this tolerance here to 2 and click generate again. You can see it's put more crosses over the screen. This is what it's going to remove. We'll put one there and we'll put one there. And then we need to take a look at each of these crosses in turn, zoomed in, to make sure they're not covering any stars or anything interesting that we don't want touched by the process. So we'll just move that over there for a second. And we'll zoom in to the image. Start off over here on the right hand side. Start moving these around so they're not covering any stars. It does quite a good job, but sometimes you'll get 1 or 2 sitting on top of stars, and we don't want that. Just have to scan through, make sure they're not sat on a star or anything. Here you can see it's sat on a couple of little star there. Oh, it's good. the next ones. This is quite time consuming, but it's worth doing. That's a bit close, that one there, so we just nudge that down a bit. Good. Basically, I just go up and down the image looking for the squares with the crosses. I don't want it there because that's in the middle of, you know, this area here, which is part of what we actually wanted to photograph. So I'm going to move that over. Just going to shift it over there. That one there you can see is right on top of a star, so we get that out of the way. Right, all good so far. That one there is on top of a star. Move that across. That one's on top of a star. Move that up. Definitely on top of the star there. Move that across. And we just keep going like this, removing or moving the boxes away from any stars before we actually apply the process to the image. Oh, that one's way on top of a star there. Look, that one. Get him out of the way. It's a bit close. Move that. That one there. Will I move? Shift that one. Now can move there. Nearly done. There's one there we need to shift. Okay, and last column. Shift that up there. And yeah, that's good. We'll leave that as it is. That's okay. So that's ready for processing. So what we do now is we apply this process to the image. What this will do is it will pull out the red and leave us with an image and another image. So drag this little triangle over the image. Right, okay, that's finished that. So shut down dynamic background extraction. And let's have a look at what it's done. This is the background that it's removed. So we'll put a stretch on that and you'll see it's all the redness. Nasty, eh? But there's the red that we've got rid of from our image. We don't need that, obviously. We shut that down. And now we'll look at this one here with the redness removed. There we go. That's now showing the elephant trunk nebula here and all the nebulosity. that's around. There's still a lot of work to do here, but you can see it's all there. So what we do is save this image and shut this original one down. We don't need to, we won't be working on that now. So there we go. I can see we could do a bit more cropping on here, but I'm going to leave it as it is for now, see how we get on. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is we have to do background neutralisation, which is an attempt to neutralise the background. But before we can do background neutralisation, we need to find some areas where there is no stars and no nebulosity. So we need to zoom in. We'll start at the top left hand side. Stay here. And we need to start putting some previews on. So click that box there. And then the shortcut for this is Alt-N. I'm going to start putting some previews on around this image. What this is doing is obviously grabbing samples of the background, which we're going to use to try and neutralize the background, fix the background. And we'll just pull some off from the right hand side. It's a lot redder over here. I think there's a bit more nebulosity over here than on the other side. We're not going to pull any from there because we want to keep that. This is a good spot here. And this is a good spot here. So we've got 8 previews now all around this image. And what we'll do is we'll use those previews using a script called preview aggregation. Preview aggregator. And what that does is it creates an aggregate of all those background images. We'll minimize that. So we've still got the image, it's just minimized. We can't close it obviously because we need to use it. And then go to process, background neutralization, and the reference image in the target image, what you do is choose aggregated. Okay, and then drag that triangle over that image. This is quite fast. And now that's starting to neutralize the background out. And what we do now is remove the stretch and reapply the stretch, because these are temporary stretches just so we can see what's going on. It reveals the detail in the image. And the next job we will do is a process called color calibration. Always tricky when you've got so much of this, but basically what it does is it tries to make the background and what we want to see the correct colors. So for the white image, the reference, we're going to use the whole image. We're just going to use this. We're not going to change that from target image. And the reference image, again, as we did with background neutralization, we'll choose aggregated. And this is going to be a bit of an experiment here to see what we can do. I'm going to leave structure detection on for now, but I may do it again and turn it off. But we'll compare the two. So we'll run that process by dragging the little triangle over the top of the image and see what appears afterwards. Right, okay, so that's given us that with the color calibration. Don't know if I like it. Let's try it again. So we'll back out of this, so we can undo this. All right. And change structure detection to off. And let's see what we get now. I think I prefer it with the structure detection on. So we're back out of that again. Unstretch, restretch. And we'll turn structure detection back on. Drag that over. These processes are quite intensive, and I'm running a not very powerful PC to do this. So if I use all the processors, all the cores on my processor that I have, my stream here will go very laggy and get a lot of buffering. So I drop the process or the cores used by this by this software, so that the stream's a lot smoother. I do have a better PC that I'm designing, but that's coming later. Then I'll have perhaps, I don't know, 8 processors and some more left over for the streaming, so it'd be nice when that's done. Okay, so that's done the color calibration on this image. Starting to get there a bit more now. Do we need the previews anymore? No, we don't need the previews, so I'm going to remove the previews, which we can do by delete all, and shut that down. We don't need that. It will save it at this point as well. So that saves that image.